Okay, so let's talk about working in Microsoft Word. We'll start by opening the program and click Start. Go to All Programs, scroll down and find Microsoft Office 2013, and then we're looking for Word 2013. Okay, so we're just going to create a basic blank document right now. I'm going to go ahead and click Blank Document. We're just going to do a few minor things here, just kind of talk about some formatting and how to enter things in. So let's just start with something basic like this is a test document. I'm typing test stuff. And there's no punctuation. So some basic things. Let's start with something as simple as copy and paste. If I highlight this sentence and I right click on it, I can click copy, and then I can go to some other place in the document and right click and click paste. Now I've got that sentence in there twice. This is the undo button up at the top. You can take it out, put it back. This is basically going to undo and redo the most recent thing that you've done. So let's talk about what it looks like when you save a document and where it goes. So I'm going to click the little save icon up at the top. You could also click File and then Save As. And now you've got this kind of confusing interface here asking where to put things. I usually just click on Browse so that I can get an interface that looks a little more familiar to me. And now I can kind of use the left-hand window here to find my folder called Documents. And I'm going to click on Documents. That's where this will get saved. I'll give it a name. So here's the Woody's test document. Don't need to mess with any of that other stuff, and then click Save. Now I've got a copy of this document in that location on the computer. So go down to the bottom of the screen and click on the, there you are, window browser. And what I'm looking for is Documents. And right there is Woody's test document. So that's how you find something once you've saved it. So let's do a little bit of formatting with this information. I'm going to go ahead and highlight what I've got typed here. I'm going to right click it, and then I'm going to use these bullets to make bullet points. And that immediately puts them in bullet points. Once I get the bullet points made, if I want to make something a subsection of the thing above it, I can use my tab key on the keyboard. So I can tab, that'll move this over. If I tab, it moves it one more time. So let's put this into practice. Let's say we want to talk about how to do something. And when you're doing this something, there is a step 1, which I would want to indent. I don't want it to be directly up under. And when I hit enter, you can see that it puts the cursor back at the front. Well, I don't want to do that, so now I got to hit tab again until this is step 2. So a way that we can avoid having to go through some of that trouble. So I'll just go ahead and highlight this little section. I'll go ahead and choose that I want to use bullets. You can also use numbering, which will do it kind of like an outline. So I'm just going to use the bullets here. And you can see I've got how to do something as my header. I got step 1 of that thing. I got step 2 of that thing, and I'm entering in step 3. Now let's say in step 1, there's a couple of things you've got to do to make step 1 work. So under step 1, I would hit enter and then hit tab, and that would move me up underneath step 1, and I could say these are conditions that might impact step 1. And if I hit enter again, it just moves one line down and keeps me up under that step 1 subheader. So maybe there's a second thing that I have to do under step 1 before I can move on to step 2. So these are also more conditions that might impact step 1. Then I can move down to step 2, hit enter and tab over, and then I can work on the conditions that impact step 2. So if there's something that you got to do under step 2 before you can move on to step 3, and then maybe I can come up underneath step 3 and say these are the conditions that might impact step 3. So step 2 has its stuff you've got to do, step 3 has its stuff you got to do, and now I'm ready to move on to step 4. And when I hit enter, okay, you can see that it kept me down underneath that subheader there. I need to back up. So there is a button up in the ribbon that will move back your indent. This will take me back so that I can be typing under the same level to make step 4 under the same level as step 3, step 2, and step 1. Again, if I hit enter, I can hit the indent button again, back it up, and now I can put in my next section. Essentially is what I'm doing here. So this is where you can move on to the next step or the next thing that you want to do. So that's kind of how we put headers up underneath different sections so that we can separate tasks. Now let's also say that I want to put a title on this document. So I might click up here and hit enter to move down a line, and then right above it I would type in my, let's call this name of the process. Now I want this to look like a title. So I'm going to click here at the front of it, highlight it, and then I'm going to center it using a button right up here on the ribbon. And then maybe I'll come down a line, and I want to move back to the far left indent. So I'm going to use this button to put myself back over there, and maybe do a quick little introduction to the process that we are going to do here. I'm not really satisfied with the way that my title looks, so I'm going to do a little bit of formatting for this title. I'm going to highlight it. Let's say what I want to do is make it underlined so you know its title, make it bold so it stands out, and let's make it bigger. So we'll click the drop down here for our font size, and we'll move from 11 up to, let's say, 16. 16 looks good. So now that clearly is the header of this document. Now headers and footers are a thing that we'll talk about in the future. Okay, so I hit enter and then I hit backspace, and then I can come down underneath what I'm doing here and type in my wrap up and recap. And that's the basics of editing a document. Now if I want to share this document, I can click File, then I can click the Share button, and let's say I want to email this to somebody, so I'll click Email and then Send as an attachment, and then put in who I want to send this email to. So I'm sending Ruth a copy of my document. Down in the body of the email, I'll send a little note letting them know what I'm sending them and why I'm sending it. And then I can click Send. And that is how you edit a document.